The region of northern Africa is predominantly filled by the Sahara, which holds the title of the world's biggest desert. Its tremendous area spans around 3,000 miles, with a western boundary with the Atlantic Ocean, a northern boundary with the Atlas Mountains and the Mediterranean Sea, an eastern boundary with the Red Sea, and a southern boundary with the Sahel. Sahel is the intermediate zone between the Sahara to the north and the humid savanna belt to the south. In the semi-arid terrain of the Sahel, several factors such as land management, overgrazing, and recurring droughts are threatening to expand the Sahara Desert. Consequently, the land is quickly turning into a complete desert. This ecological degradation is the root cause of various adversities, including famine, destitution, unemployment, coerced migration, strife, and a heightened risk of severe weather events. Niger, a country located in the African Sahara region, has achieved remarkable agricultural progress by transforming vast areas affected by desertification into fertile fields. Despite receiving an annual rainfall of only 6.5 inches, Niger has restored 5 million hectares of land and planted over 200 million trees, benefiting 2.5 million people. This impressive achievement is a testament to the country's resilience and innovation in the face of challenging environmental conditions. Today's video explores how and why Niger has managed to turn its deserts into expansive farmland. As a West African republic named after the Niger River, over 80% of Niger's territory is covered by the Sahara Desert. The Sahel locale, where farmers struggle to grow crops because of poor soil quality, erratic precipitation, and prolonged periods of droughts, presents a huge challenge for agricultural development in the country. During the 1970s and 80s, farmers experienced a significant loss of trees due to droughts, the expansion of cropland, and human activities. The scarcity of trees in fields often resulted in the crops being destroyed by wind erosion. Unfortunately, Africa is presently losing 4 million hectares of forest every year due to similar factors. Nevertheless, Africa has more than 700 million hectares of degraded land that is suitable for restoration. Farmers can avoid the need to remove additional forested areas for agriculture if they invested in repairing the land that has become degraded. This paves the way for big potential for Africa's expanding population, as well as the continent's rising demand for food. The revitalization of degraded land provides significant social and economic advantages to rural agricultural communities, and it also helps to mitigate the effects of climate change. Additionally, technology may be utilized to improve both conventional agriculture techniques and the information that underpins them. A method known as farm-managed natural regeneration, abbreviated as FMNR, is being put into practice as part of a significant initiative in Niger, with the goal of rehabilitating 5 million hectares of land. This strategy seems to alleviate poverty and hunger among subsistence farmers by boosting the production of food and timber while simultaneously upgrading the farmers' ability to withstand the adverse effects of harsh weather at a reduced cost. Despite the difficult growing circumstances in the Sahara region of Africa, FMNR has proven effective in increasing the productive capabilities and resiliency of agricultural fields and grazing areas in the region. It is broadly viewed as perhaps the most progressive innovation at present in presence. FMNR was initially brought to the country of Niger in 1983 by Tony Rinaldo, an Australian agronomist who is well known as the forest maker. Rinaldo found a remedy to the catastrophic deforestation and desertification that is afflicting the Sahara region after spending a significant amount of time living and working in a number of different African countries. Coppicing and pollarding are two methods that are used in FMNR. These methods are used to select the appropriate plants, and then the plants are purged and protected in a certain way to foster their growth into trees. FMNR is a strategy that draws on traditional traditions and is sensitive to local differences. By employing management practices that are not overtly difficult, farmers have the capacity to rehabilitate and protect the native vegetation. This technique has worked in the everyday environments of heaps of individuals all through the world. A reversal of land degradation a strengthening of resilience, and assistance for people and society in adjusting to the consequences of climate change may be achieved through the sustainable cultivation of forests and trees. Also, saving and growing timberland cover are basic moves to make in the battle against environmental change, since trees can take in as much as 2 billion tons of carbon dioxide every year. In contrast to other projects, such as planting trees, which have a very low rate of success, the farmer-managed natural regeneration (FMNR) approach has produced very positive outcomes. Only 10% of seedlings are able to make it through the harsh circumstances of the dry and sandy terrain of Niger, and the ones that do make it are frequently eaten by goats or collected for use as fuel. A pivotal moment occurred when it was realized that the millions of little bushes that were found in the savanna were in fact the stumps of trees that were regrowing. The shoots that emerged from the new stumps have the potential to develop into fully mature trees if they are properly managed, pruned, and cared for. Farmer-managed natural regeneration (FMNR) is a method that was pioneered by Tony Rinaldo. FMNR is a simple series of steps that farmers may take to green their land, and Rinaldo is credited with developing this method. First, farmers evaluate their property and choose native plants that are adapted to the area to use for regeneration. The remaining stems are then trimmed for use as fodder or mulch, while a select few are set aside for further development. These specifically chosen stems are cut in half through the process of pruning, and the regrowing trees are then labeled and preserved. The procedure is carried out once every 2 to 6 months on average. Because of its ease of use, adaptation to local conditions, low cost, about $20 USD per hectare, simple incorporation into existing agricultural techniques, and quick turnaround time for results, FMNR has been an enormously successful initiative in Niger. The system has expanded from farmer to farmer via learning from one another, and very little involvement from the outside world was required. FMNR has been used to rehabilitate more than 5 million hectares of land in Niger alone, which has led to the growth of more than 200 million trees and provided benefits to around 2.5 million people. This strategy is now being implemented in at least 25 nations throughout the continent of Africa. FMNR is an important approach that employs natural techniques to combat agricultural problems, as opposed to turning to toxic chemicals that give immediate but temporary answers. Tony Rinaldo spent his formative years in the Ovens Valley, a farming community located in northern Victoria. There, he was exposed to the devastation that was inflicted on the local ecosystem as a result of conventional agricultural methods. The employment of airplanes to spray crops with pesticides resulted in the death of fish and the surrounding stream. Additionally, Tony's beloved native bush was eradicated so that pine monocultures could be planted in its place. Tony's unique experiences led him to search for natural solutions that promote long-term food security, abundance, and well-being for the local population, rather than relying on chemical pesticides that ultimately result in more destruction. FMNR has garnered financial support from organizations like the UN, the EU, and Oxfam, all of which recognize the importance of this technique in tackling agricultural challenges. In July 2020, Niger became one of the first countries globally to embrace FMNR, with a presidential decree promoting and regulating the practice, which is expected to encourage more farmers and pastoralists to adopt it. The result of farmer-managed natural regeneration, FMNR, has been remarkable. With arable land nearly doubling since the 1980s, this has prompted superior food security and better nourishment for a large number of individuals, as well as an expansion in family gross salaries by a normal of 18 to 24%. Moreover, this technique has successfully reversed environmental degradation and desertification across approximately 5 million hectares of land. Tree density has increased tenfold since reaching its all-time low in the 1980s, with around 200 million new trees growing and a production value exceeding 260 million. It's not surprising that this new and simple way of doing things is quickly spreading across Africa and helping the environment and the people who live there. The success of FMNR demonstrates the power of natural methods to combat environmental degradation and promote sustainable agriculture. FMNR has the ability to turn millions of hectares of degraded land into thriving ecosystems with the help of organizations and governments. This would give the future generations food security, economic chances, and a healthier environment.